All right. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Buddhist Biohacker podcast and vlog here on YouTube, live for all of you who are watching and joining in. And for all of you who are either watching the replay or listening on iTunes or Spotify later, welcome in. And it's Lisa Gunshore here. I'm your host, always your mystical guide to this crazy life that we are living that's crazier than ever. And I am so happy and honored to have my guest with me, Kristian Strang. It's so nice to have you back.
Oh, I'm so excited to dive into this conversation with you. Anytime we get to come together, Lisa, it's a really good time and lots of good holiness coming through. So I'm looking forward to this.
Oh my God, me too. I'm so ready. And I see a lot of people joining in here. So join in and you guys can comment in the live chat box and I will make sure that I check that. So go ahead and throw out questions, comments, whatever you need to. And if you're listening later or watching the replay, I really encourage you to go to MeWe, MEWE.com. Go to MeWe and join the Buddhist Biohacker page. It is such a clean, secure, amazing site. And what it is the Buddhist Biohacker page on there is our forum to talk about these podcasts, to keep the conversation going, for you to meet facilitators and guests on the show and all of that. So it's a great place to go. So if you're listening in, driving your car right now, remember, go to MeWe and join our conversation there. It's a great space for us to be. So we're going to talk about living a new reality, and I'm also excited to talk about this. And I think the best place to start, Kristian, I want you to tell you a little bit about yourself first, and then let's talk about what we even mean by the new reality. I think we start there for everybody who's new to this conversation.
Awesome. Perfect. So yes, I'm Kristian Strang, and I was not trying to be on a spiritual path or to be a spiritual guide, but in 2008, I had a crazy health crisis that rocked my world and sent me to Brazil, where I had a psychic surgery and a woman prayed over me in Portuguese, and I was totally healed. Amazing. And then healing energy started coming out of my hands, and people would say when I touched them, that pain that they had in their body went away. And then I started knowing things that I'd never known before. I'd always been, weird growing up, and I'd always known things, and it was annoying to my family. And I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Why do I know these things? I don't want to know these things, so I really tried to not be this weird, but it just kept happening for me. And then in 2015, I had what I call my next level spiritual awakening, which is when all the third dimensional success that I had achieved, hitting six figures, all these things, all the things that I had thought that I wanted to have happen, I realized was not in my highest alignment of living spirit led, which is the deepest call of my heart. And so everything fell away, and I began channeling and created a whole new version of my life stream. And really it was in 2015 when I started being prepared for what we're living now. So it's been quite the ride. I always say the best things in life that happen for you, you never see coming. And that certainly was my experience. I was never trying to be a spiritual guide or a healer or anything like that. And yet my deep desire to live spirit led has guided and directed me to share as much divine wisdom and truth as I possibly can and support as many people that are called in living a spirit-led life, because that's the loophole, especially now. My guides joke about, we're going to get out of this thing alive, and we can talk a little bit more about how we do that. And it's living a spirit-led life.
I love it. Well, and you said something just now that is really part of the conversation, which is you were getting ready for this years ago. And it's one thing, I'm sure you've noticed it with your clients, I've noticed it with my client community also, is a lot of us have not had the negative experiences during the quarantine that perhaps other people have. It's like we've all gotten ready. And so I want to talk about that split, because there's definitely two different realities happening right now, one of fear and chaos, and one that is light and abundance and like, wow, I'm busier than I've ever been. And so I'm just noticing there's like these different experiences going on. And a lot of us that have been doing this for a while are like, we're ready, like, bring it on, like, we're ready for this. So I want you to talk a little bit about what you see and feel within this dichotomy of two different realities, essentially.
Yeah, it's so fascinating. During the winter solstice of 2016, I was shown in meditation that there would be a split in consciousness. I was literally shown this happening. And I was shown that we would be able to see visibly with our eyes who was vibrating in the third dimensional or fear frequency and who was vibrating in the fifth dimensional or higher love, God, source frequency. And at the time, I was like, that's so crazy. Aren't we all one? You know, and like, how is that going to happen? But you go out into the public domain, you're going to see with your eyes who is in the third dimension and who is in the fifth dimension. So now it's all making sense. You know, in 2016 at the winter solstice, I was like, what is this? But I was shown that there would be a split in consciousness, and then I've been further shown that what's happening is the third dimensional frequency is dying off. And so what we're watching is a dying off process. And our job is not to interfere in that. Our job is to let that happen and stay focused on what we're here to create. And so I think that's the biggest, you know, a trick for folks right now is, you know, how do you stay focused on the light and the love when, you know, a lot of people that maybe you're close to, right? So a lot of people are talking about, you know, friendships, family, all this is parting. Let this happen. This is the split in consciousness that needs to happen so that the earth can be a place that holds a higher frequency and so that we can step into the next golden age. So what I've been shown is that all of this is in preparation for the next golden age, which we're looking at, you know, timelines are always tricky, but we're looking at 10, 15 years of being there. And that's really exciting. I thought it wouldn't happen until I was an old woman, maybe even after I made my transition, but we're like, here, it's happening.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I got the message years ago that there would be a split. I think it was back 2009, I'm going to say, is when I got that message. I'm going to try to dig it up for everybody who's listening. I'm going to try to dig this stuff up because I know I have it on recording somewhere. But yeah, same message. And I also thought I was going to be an old lady. Like, I thought I'd be in my 60s, 70. I'm like, I'm going to, you know, be older. And I equate it to your wedding day. And I know that sounds kind of morbid with the process, but you know, you think of your wedding day as a kid, and then when it finally comes, you're like, oh my God, it's my wedding day. I can't believe this has happened. And that is how it feels, isn't it? It's like, I really knew this was going to happen, but you're like looking around saying, I really didn't think it was going to happen now.
100%. It's been so surreal. I'm like, man, spirit is brilliant. I never would have thought it would happen this way and in this format. Yeah. And it's important to remember, and this is something my team reminds me, is that, you know, the third dimension that's dying off, this is not a sad thing. Like, death is not real anyway. You're just shifting out of bodies and into the next. So the third dimensional beings that are shifting out, whether, you know, in whatever ways they're doing that, and it's through their choice of fear, they're choosing that. They're done. They're ready to go back to their home planet or go to another plane of consciousness or go to the karmic soup or wherever they're going. They're ready for that. And so we don't need to be sad about that. I mean, we can be whatever we are, of course, but to remember that this is not like good guy, bad guy. This is a shift in consciousness. Yes. And so the folks that were playing their roles in the third dimension are wrapping that up. The folks who are here to usher in the next golden age, now it's time for us to really, you know, embody that and live that. And we have the perfect opportunity right now to keep choosing love and keep choosing the co-creation of the new.
Yep, I totally agree. And to know that it's just a denser energy just simply can't survive here anymore. And I heard a great thing. It was actually on a show with Magenta Pixie the other day, and she explained 3, 4, and 5D in this really great way that I want to explain. She said the third dimensional reality, you know, is that linear reality. And a lot of folks who are in that reality are in fear right now. The 4D is like, you know that there's something bigger than yourself, you know that something's going on, but it feels like mass confusion. And I think a lot of people are there. And the 5D is when you come out of the confusion and it's like, oh, everything makes sense and you understand how it works. And so I think this podcast today is for a lot of you who are shifting up and you're in that 4D space and you're like, I am confused. Like, I think that I'm doing the right things, but this stuff feels wrong and things aren't quite right. And so, you know, how do we get everyone into that 5D? I love that explanation because I feel like that chaos and confusion energy is where a lot of folks are stuck right now. And being able to shift out of that into that clear picture. Because once you get there, you look around, you're like, whoa, like this is like an amazing space to be in. And it's a lot more, everybody's talking about instant manifestation. And I think there's a lot of confusion about what that's about. So it's not just about like, I want a drink and here's a drink. It's more like the Matrix. It's more like Keanu Reeves in the Matrix when he said there is no spoon and the spoon bends. That's the reality we're operating in 5D. But I'm just wondering your thoughts on that. And
yeah. So, and I love that delineation. I think that's really helpful for folks to look at, you know, and it's also helpful to look at where am I vibrating at, right? Because just because you feel fear, you don't want to stay there, right? So I actually have a step-by-step process to this or answer that I would give to this, which is first is if you're in confusion or you're feeling chaotic or fearful or whatever it is, don't judge yourself. Just acknowledge that you're there. The denial of where you're vibrating at keeps you there longer and doesn't help you move forward. So acknowledge that you're there and then begin to use emotional tools that will help you unwind that fear and confusion. So before we can get to solutions, we've got to work with the energy charging through us. So I talked about this in my email last week about, you know, I was up in the middle of the night, I felt all this fear. Well, I'd been reading like the New York Times and like let myself dip in to the third dimensional matrix, even though I know what's going on. I've been shown what's happening. And I was filled with fear because it is psychic energy that is being transmitted. I mean, psychic energy is everywhere. And when I say psychic, I mean thought forms. That's what psychic energy is. You know, it's energy, it's thought forms. So first you've got to work with those emotions. And I have a guide we call my superpowers guide that literally will take you through how to unwind that. The next piece is you have to be willing to know what you haven't been willing to know. So if you're confused, you can be unconfused. But the way that you get unconfused is not by going into more of the dense content. It's by going into the higher vibrating frequencies. So taking in information from Buddhist Biohacker or, you know, from a video I have, or, you know, all the different amazing light workers that are out there doing great work. If you want to understand how disease is transmitted and how death works and all of that, ask in prayer and meditation to be brought resources of high vibrating beings that have the true on that. And then start taking in that information and check in with your heart. Does this feel aligned to me?
that I have to jump in because that's so important for everyone to hear. Again, is exactly what you said, which is you have to ask spirit to bring you the resources. 100%. You do not have to Google search. In fact, you don't want to Google search. and
use Google.
No, like, and I did that exact thing. I was like, I need to see the information without having to look it up. And sure enough, it showed up all in its own way. Even an obscure book written based on the channelings of Edgar Cayce, this random obscure book about the destruction and the chaos of the climate. And so things will show up out of nowhere. And I had to jump in because everyone has to hear that. Like, you don't have to search this. You know, my kids say, search it up. You don't have to search it up. You know, you can find it by asking spirit to bring it to you and to bring the people to you that have the information so that you can get it and don't stay there either.
That's 100%. You know, the best search engine out there is your own connection to the divine. So I got off mainstream media. They took me off of that years ago. So I don't take in anything unless my team brings it to me and I ask, you know, just bring me the information that I need to know and bring me the true truth. So you've got to be willing to receive that information, check in with your heart, start to integrate, where so many illusions are being busted through right now. And I've been on this path for a long time. I know what's happening in the world, and I'm still having my illusions busted through. I had very specific ideas about countries and states and parties and people and teachers, and all of that is getting busted through. We have to be willing to receive that. And the way to do that is to really ask our higher wisdom to bring that to us. And then we can receive that information, and then that can lead us forward. And that's how you start to get yourself out of confusion and into solutions, into peace, back into your deep knowing. Because when you are vibrating at a fifth dimensional frequency or higher, and by fifth dimension, I mean love, peace, unity. And I don't mean just unity with each other. I mean self-unity, unity of the soul with the spirit, with non-physical energy. When you're vibrating in that frequency, you're watching the wildest sci-fi movie you have ever watched. You're like, this is so good. I don't eat popcorn, but where is the popcorn? It's so good.
Yes, it's so true. And when you're in that space, and I think it's important, I have like multiple things I want to say, so I'm trying to figure out. I think first thing I want to say is going back to that 4D fear-based energy. When we talk about all the theories that are out there, I'm not even going to use the words with it, but the theories that are out there, look at it, but then walk away from it. And my message from Spirit was, it's time to come out of it. Like, we don't need to see it anymore. We don't need to look at it. The truth is known. It's out. Like, let it go. So don't stay in that energy. Come to that place of love, interdependent reality, compassion, because you'll have everything you need there. And that's where we exist, to hold this ascension timeline. And I think that's important for everyone to understand, is that we are going to the golden age, but the work isn't done. It's not like, oh, okay, I can sit back, we're going to the golden age. Like, you still have to pack your bags. You still have to get ready to go. Maybe we want to get rid of all our bags to go, but like, we still have to hold that space.
So there's so much work that still needs to be done. And I don't mean work in like a heavy way. I mean in a really joyous way. Those of us who have been on this path have been doing a ton of emotional and spiritual work, and it doesn't stop now, right? We're going deeper. Every single day, I'm on a schedule right now of every day, just going through my superpowers guide and going to every little piece of distortion that is showing up for me. And I'm addressing it head on, because that is the work that we must do so that we can enjoy living in the golden age. Because what we don't realize is we've been carrying all of these programs. There's a lot of mind control stuff out there that we don't even realize we've been picking up on. And so we need to move from receiver of whatever's out there, and I mean in the third dimension, fourth dimension of consciousness, and move ourselves into transmitter, and the transmitter of the love frequency, the transmitter of the peace, of the unification, so that wherever we go, we are literally shining that light. And that, the golden age isn't just like waiting for us to like figure it out, like we're creating it by doing this work and by showing up, having conversations like this, elevating the frequency, coming together. Where two or more are gathered, right? Jesus told us, we're more gathered, the divine source comes through and it can elevate and elevate you. So this is the time to come together, go deeper into your own work. Stop watching the videos, like the theories and the and the this and the that. Just stop. Someone sent me something recently and I was like, I love you, no.
Yeah.
I love you, no, I'm not watching this. Like, we have to become so fierce in our self-love that we're only going to take in conversations like this, frequencies of the higher love.
Yes, for sure. And understanding, we're talking about, there's this new reality, there's two different realities, there's multiple timelines converging all together. And it sounds probably to some of you like, what? I don't get it. And the main thing to get is, we are co-creating our new earth. We are the co-creators of the new reality. And in every moment that you exist and live, you are creating the next moment. And so it's deciding where you want to create it from. And you don't want to create it from a place of fear or worry or anxiety or stress. You want to create from love and compassion and abundance. And that compassion, His Holiness the Dalai Lama speaks of interdependent reality. I heard him speak in it in every talk I ever saw him give. And it's so, so, so important now. Not that it wasn't then, but in this moment, everything we do affects every person on the planet. And it has never been more real with our own eyes as it is right now.
And that's where the instant manifestation comes in. And you were speaking about that earlier. This is not manifesting a cup of soup. Sure, you can do that, but like, we're divine beings, let's do better, right? So literally, we are manifesting with our focus and our thoughts what the reality will be for ourselves and for those we love. So we got to clean that shit up. And I know that that can seem like, oh, but there's so many distractions. You are a divine agent, right? Like, step into your divine authority and power. You cut that shit out, right? So a couple people sent me stuff. I'm just like, I love you. No, I love me more. So you have to love yourself so much that you're unwilling to allow in frequencies of distortion and disharmony, and trust that your higher self is going to bring you what you need. And then each day, make your prayer be, show me what I can do today to create more good, more love, more service on this plane. Show me what it is and let me do it. And then go with what pops in and be focused on creating the new, rather than, oh my God, did you see all the destruction over there? It's really seductive. I get it. It's really sexy and seductive. That's how they always make it, because it's activating the lower chakras. So we also have to like elevate our awareness that, popular music, movies, news, all of that stuff is activating the sex chakra specifically. They want you to stay in the denser energies and stay disconnected from your higher chakras, which elevate you into who you really are. Now, this is all part of the plan. So it's not like anyone's doing anything to us. We knew when we came to Earth, we were on a mission. We knew what the frequencies that were here. We knew what we were going to have to elevate. So we step into our divine authority, which is like stepping into our grown-ass women, our grown-ass men, and saying like, yes, I'm not afraid. I am here to co-create the new, and I will live in my divine authority. I mean, it's the most empowering place for us to be, and it's the most true on top of it.
Yep, I totally agree. And I think understanding that you have that power, it's empowerment, it's understanding that we chose to be here. This is our choice. We wanted to be here right now. We were the warriors who said, yeah, I'll go do this. I'll go hang out. I'll go be a part of this journey and be in that chaos. And I'm sure that, my spiritual mother energy came in from Lemuria at the beginning of all of this. And she told me, I didn't want you to go. You thought it would be a great idea, so you went. And it was such a potent awakening for me, because it was like, wow, I really did choose to come and just do this. And my spirit team was like, really? Okay, like, we'll help you out, but that seems crazy. So we're here. We chose it. I know, isn't that funny?
I love it.
And I think it's important to note, like, when you talk about letting that shit go, like, yes. My biggest advice in every reading I've done in the last 2 weeks is, if it's leaving you, let it get out of there. Like, don't hold on to anything. There are so many relationships dissolving.
Yes.
There are whole companies dissolving. I mean, let's face it, there is dissolution all around us. Let it happen, because as you let that go, there's new coming in that's like super profound. I've had just as many in my community find their soulmate during this as have lost a relationship. Like, this is the time. And that's just one example. People are losing jobs and finding whole new careers, and side gigs are becoming your focus, and the real, the full-time things going away. And so I think truly, you guys, let it go. Don't hold on to anything, because this is not the end of this. We got we got a decade or more, but we really have 18 solid months. Don't you agree? Like 18 months of like, seriously, let everything go.
Yeah, I'm being shown till 2022. We're in my guides say, let it burn. I was like, no, they're like, let it burn, baby, let it burn. I'm like, okay, I can do this. Because, what was getting activated for me, and I don't know if this was true for you, Lisa, or anyone watching, is my codependent healer got activated. I was like, I have to save the people. And my team's like, no, you don't. Let them go. It's okay. So I had to step into the next level of my divine authority, which is we're all divine beings of the light. We get to choose. And choices have been made. We had major choice points leading up to 2020. Where do you want to vibrate? The work you and I have been doing. I've been talking to people about rising up for love since 2016, because that was the message. Like, they need to rise up. And I'm changing my whole site because my team said, we've risen. Now it's time to co-create the new. So we've got what I'm seeing, and we'll, timelines are always tricky, but at least 2 years, 18 months to 2 years of the burn and the fall away. And that's when we've got to really, we always need to do this, but really come together in community, come together with each other, and really stay taking in the higher frequencies, and then creating the new reality. And that means honoring Mother Earth, sustainability, looking at where is my life not in honor of the earth and sustainability. And you don't have to go out and buy, or build an earth ship, or, you don't have to do that. You can take the home you're in. How can I make this more sustainable? How can I make this more in honor of the earth? The same with your body, same with your food, grow your own food, start to reduce your dependency on the industrial complex. All of this is so important. This is how we get to the golden age.
Yes. Well, and it's funny because just this weekend, the spiritual shifts are like so fast. And I thought they were fast before. And now I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm an intense Scorpio psychic woman, and this is like crazy fast. And I noticed this weekend, like, even in my own home, no matter how minimal I've been, no matter, I can't even tell you what I've gotten rid of in the last decade. Including 100 pounds of my own weight. It's like, and I'm looking at my body, I'm looking at my home, I'm looking at the way we're living, and I'm like, this is still too much. It's like this urgency of like, this is excess. It all has to go. It cannot be here anymore. None of this is important. It's just unbelievable the amount of conscious change in just my own self looking around. And I imagine many people, many of you guys listening, many of you watching are feeling that too. And I'd love to hear about it. So make sure you guys are commenting and sharing, because it's a huge thing. In fact, the June summit, the OHO summit, is creating a sustainable future, because that was what Spirit said, is we have to create a future that is sustainable, that will not have this kind of collapse that we are experiencing now. And that also can survive what else is going to be thrown our way, because a lot of damage has been done on our planet, and we have to survive that. It's not just a virus, right? Like, it's all sorts of things that are impacting us. I don't know about you, but I have water filters on my shower. I have air filters for my home. I have to watch where I buy my food. This was all pre-virus. I've had to watch my environment for a decade.
Absolutely. Those changes, have been something that I've been channeling for many years, of saying these shifts need to be made. We need to be doing business with small businesses. We need to, extricate ourselves from corporations. We need to really focus on the big thing that my team kept saying for many years leading up to this is, you're voting with your dollars. You're telling the universe what you want more of. So you talk about instant manifestation. Everything you're spending money on, you're saying, I want more of that. I want more of that. My biggest expense is my development, me becoming who I really am, and creating a totally as sustainable of a life as I possibly can. That's where my money goes, because that is what I want more of. I want more awakening, more enlightenment, and I want to live in harmony with the earth as much as I possibly can. So really think about that when you're spending your money.
I'm writing that down. That's like a Twitter post if I ever heard one. That's really great, because that's a great way to think about it, is what are you asking for?
Yeah. And that's how you're manifesting. So, it isn't just like, oh, I think I want, the perfect partner. It is like, who am I being right now? Where am I putting my money? How do I call in all things that are sacred And I feel, so there's been a ton of heart opening DNA upgrades. I mean, we could be here all day talking about all the things that have been happening,
Yeah.
but this is happening so that we will be able to feel that sacredness and then bring our life immediately into alignment. And because of the instant manifestation, because there's no more gap in, between focusing on something and it manifesting, you can do that very quickly. And so use this to your advantage. People tend to freak out like, oh my God, but I'm fearful. And don't focus there. Go to like, I want a totally sustainable home. I want to have the best partnership I can possibly have. Put your focus there from that deep heart desire, and be less about like, how do I get what I want, and more about how do I work in harmony with the earth, with my higher self, with the higher power. That's where we want to be. When The Secret hit in 2006 and I was part of that wave, it was like, let's manifest stuff. Well, great job, fourth dimension. That's a fourth dimensional consciousness, and that worked for us for a small second. But we got to go higher, right?
Agreed. Well, and I think let's talk about, that 4D manifestation is I have a vision board and I want this. 5D manifestation is I have it right now. I think that's an important delineation for everyone to understand, is by saying you want or need something, you're still saying it's not here. And that's tough. I find myself stuck on that a lot too, where I'm like, ooh, I need to change how I just said that, because we put stuff out and it like shoots right back at you.
Totally. And I think too, remembering that, even in the fourth dimension, we were doing that from our head, right? I was like, oh, I want this computer. I want this boyfriend. I want this, money or whatever. We're doing it from our heart now. So it's very different, right? The things that the heart deeply desires is like, nourishing food and deep conversation and connection, and making sure that all of our digital platforms are in alignment with a higher frequency, right? If we go to here, it's very different what we're manifesting, to work in harmony with the earth, grow our own food, eat our own food, support local farms, all these things, support, small businesses. I don't want to say local because there's an amazing amount of small businesses all over the world doing incredible work. So we got the global piece right, but we need to stop supporting the corporate entities because those energies no longer serve a high vibrational consciousness. I don't think they ever did, but it's just, we're at the point where if it's in a third dimension, it's not staying. So we need to start reprogramming ourselves to the small businesses, to the heart and what we want to create from there. It's the loophole. It's how we get out of this thing alive. Seriously.
Yes, it's true. Well, and I think some actionable things are, go to the farmers markets. I'm praying that ours is going to open. I'm a little concerned about that on my end, but go to your farmers markets, research local. I have this incredible client who owns a yak farm, and they are providing yak meat, and the owner is he's a shaman, and the way he takes care of the animals and even kills them is amazing. So high vibrational stuff. I found a local bee pollen place that has bee pollen and honey, and so I think research. There's actually a great website. I'm going to see if I can pull it up while we're talking here so I can share it with all of you, and I'll try to remember to put it in the show notes. But there is a great website that's like Eat Local, and it's all about who are your local farmers. Find out where you can go get clean protein. Find out where you can get your vegetables from, and work directly with your local farmers. I think that's so important because I'm not ready or in a place to grow my garden yet. But it's definitely come up as like, what's next? We all have to have that sustainable space. It's like, okay, how do we have a communal space to grow food? But until then, like, the next step, the easiest action step, is to find your local farmers. Find out where you can get your stuff nearby that's not at a grocery store, that's clean, that the farmer by name. Because don't you think even trade, I think trade and stuff is going to be happening. I mean, I think there's a new energy coming into our new reality in the next decade or so.
100%. And I would say, the farmers market here on the coast where I live opened up, but they're requiring masks. That's not a high vibrational frequency. I'm not participating. So I went direct to the farmers and said, okay, what can we do? I want to buy from you. I'm not going to the market. I'm not going to participate in a lower frequency, but what can we do? And so you get it direct from the farmers. So 100%. Definitely barter is coming up as there's cash, there's gold, there's silver, there's, cryptocurrency, there's trade. So finding or expanding, I should say, the way that you're willing to do business. And I've added that now to my offerings. If you want to pay with gold, silver, Bitcoin, let's talk. Let's figure out what works. We want to expand the realms of prosperity for all. And we want to honor each other and make sure there's always an exchange of energy. So we're honoring and being respectful of the work and the gifts, more importantly, the gifts of the other, and go direct. I'm going direct to my nut butter, lady. She's in Portland, up in the city. I'm going direct on everything, where before I just do Amazon Prime because that's really easy. But wow, that's not consistent with my fifth dimensional values. Okay, so
Yes.
we've sacrificed a lot as humans for convenience, and we've complied with so many things for convenience. There's none of that happening in the golden age. We have to be willing to stretch ourselves. We have to be willing to do business differently. I mean, it's an economic revolution. It's a revolution in every sense of the word. And it can be totally peaceful if we are willing to vibrate in the fifth dimensional frequency.
So agree so much. Here's the websites, guys. So there's the farmcollaborative.org is one that's really great. Also eatwild.com is the one I love because it actually, you can search by state and see where you can go. So eatwild.com is a really great one. And I'll put both of those websites on the show notes as well. But those are resources you can use to get started, to start to find. And I'm wondering too, I'm like totally talking out loud on this podcast, but I'm wondering if we don't try to figure out how to create this network on the OHO site so that we can start sharing all of these different spaces with folks, because that's what the OHO collaborative is all about.
Yes. And really doing business with each other is so important. And my team has been talking about that for many years now. And they're really like, okay, guys, no more waiting. We need to only be doing business with other fifth dimensional beings, other companies that are vibrating in that higher frequency. That's where, again, we're voting with our dollars. You want to talk instant manifestation? What are you asking for more of in the world? And where you spend your money and what you're purchasing will manifest more of that. So be very conscious of that. I also want to speak, Lisa, you said, well, we don't have garden space. How do we grow our own food? You can hang a tomato plant in your window. There's microgreens. You can grow that inside. So even if you're like not in a state, I don't have a huge yard or anything, but we're just being very efficient. And we're growing indoors and outdoors. You can use the light that comes through the windows to help grow food, and you can turn your home into what it's meant to be, which is a sacred oasis in partnership with the earth, right? So you can grow microgreens on your countertop. You can grow stuff in your windows. Like, again, we got to get creative. We got to stay connected to who we really are. We have to stop throwing away and betraying the self for convenience, and I mean, I can't believe how many areas I was doing that in, so, reducing our use of toilet paper, get a bidet, like all these different things that we get to expand into, which are actually a higher frequency. And we've just been hurting ourselves in the earth, but not consciously, because it was more convenient and we had more convenient options. And now it's just time to step into our divine power and say, no more. I'm going to work in partnership with the earth, with myself, with the higher wisdom, with each other, so that we're really holding that frequency. We can talk a good game all day long, and there's plenty of people that do it, right? Oh, vibrate in the fifth dimension. Oh, okay, that's really cool. But are we doing business with each other? Are we growing our own food in whatever capacity we can? Are we, bringing our home into a sustainable environment the best that we can? Our vehicles, all of it. What can we do? And are we making those steps? We have to be walking our talk. It's so important. And it's challenging at times, but there are little steps we can each make that will build momentum. That, again, is paving the way for us to experience the golden age.
It's so right. And I'm glad that you brought that up, even about growing plants in the house, because we all have to be each other as accountability partners, right?
Totally.
To say like, oh, no, wait, here's another solution, and being creative in our solutions, because we don't think about it. I mean, I myself, like, I got out of the food matrix in 2011. So in 2011, I left the world of processed fast food. But one of the things I've seen recently is how much I'm still in that space. Like, I like to go to Whole Foods and get certain things, and there's like gluten-free crackers and things I like, and it's like, oh, these are higher vibrational things, but at the end of the day, like, I should be making my own crackers, and and I have a culinary degree, so I really have no excuse,
Oh,
like,
that's
I am
amazing.
a chef and I love to cook. And and it is that convenience thing. And so, those are the things where we have to check ourselves, just like you're saying, living in our truth. It's like stopping and saying, do I really need to buy this, or should I be buying, like, I had a thought the other day. I was like, I need to buy my own, like, grinding apparatus to make my own nut butters. Like, I shouldn't be buying this stuff. I should just grind my own. Like,
Yeah.
why am I going to a store to grind my own butter? Like, and they don't even allow that right now because of the sanitation rules.
Right.
And yeah, and so those are the things that we all have to think about, and things that I've thought about is like, oh, here I am again. You like keep catching yourself like, oh, I'm doing this again out of the convenience that you're talking about. It's just easier, right?
Yeah, and I would say sometimes folks can feel overwhelmed by this. It's not perfection, it's practice. And so to remember that, and that it's a process. So, 2011, you left the industrial food matrix. Some people might just be starting that. And so making their own nut butter is going to be like, oh my God, I can't do that. It's too much, right?
Yeah.
So wherever you're at, just keep unwinding it, just keep getting closer and closer to the highest alignment that you feel is right for you. And so that's so important, because there are so many, so many things are changing for me right now. Like with my technology, I'm just like, could we have done this like step by step? And my team's like, no, we couldn't have, yeah. So I'm just like, oh, my email, my website, my social media, everything's changing because it's got to go higher. And so we do the best that we can. We keep taking those steps forward to move it forward. Other people might have already made that shift. I hadn't. It was just convenient to be on Gmail and to be all wrapped up in Google and Facebook. So
Yeah.
I'm having to unwind that. And, some folks already deleted all their pictures off Facebook. I had like 1,000. So I'm in the process, so just wherever you're at, start where you are to unwind, right? We don't have a full solar panel system yet. So we have a couple, so you just keep moving forward wherever you're at, because that's what matters. That forward movement creates momentum. And when all of us are taking those little steps, whatever they are, and we keep taking them and we keep taking them, it creates this grand momentum that will allow the earth to return to her natural state. It will allow us to live in a golden age, which is not a hierarchy, it's a heterarchy, where we're living in community, where we're honoring each other's gifts, like I could pay you to make my nut butter, and I can, grow my own kale because I'm really good at that. And, I'm going to buy clothes from the lady down the street because she makes these beautiful organic cotton, whatever, we are all wheels, we're all spokes in the wheel, and that forms the collective. And so it's such a beautiful time to be alive. And we're always alive. Sorry. It's such a beautiful time to be in an earth body and to be here for this. Because we came for this, like you said, Lisa.
Yes. Well, and I think this global event has been a beautiful gift to reveal where we need to change. And so I think if you want an action step, if you want to walk away with these are the things, the self-inquiry homework I would give everybody listening is to ask yourself, where have I been inconvenienced by this pandemic? Because that is the place to start getting out of the systems and processes you've been in, right?
Totally.
Because when I couldn't buy XYZ, and for me, for those who know me know, like, because of my own health crises, I eat whole foods. I need and choose to eat vegetables every day, fresh vegetables. I haven't touched a canned or frozen vegetable since 2011. So 9 years, not touched. So one of the biggest things that came up for me in the middle of this global event was I couldn't go to the store every day or every couple of days and get the fresh vegetables to cook for dinner. Again, I love Gordon Ramsay. He's an incredible chef and he's doing incredible things. In fact, I'm trying to get him on my show. So if he's listening, but
Gordon, join the fifth dimension.
Yes, he has done just incredible things with his Instagram. For anybody who wants to follow on Instagram, he actually is teaching you how to cook every day. He's giving you real life skills. He's posting photos. It's amazing. He's posting photos of the ingredients you need and saying, okay, meet me here at this time live, and I'm going to teach you what to do with these. It's amazing. And so I grew up and went to college in that environment of the culinary world, which is you go to the butcher and you go to the farmer's market and you get your stuff and you cook it fresh. And when you're in lockdown and you cannot get out to the grocery store to get those fresh products, and I've noticed a lot of them went to waste because people weren't buying them. That was a big light bulb moment for me of, gosh, I need to figure out how to have fresh vegetables. I can't go it affects my physical being if I go more than 4 or 5 days without fresh vegetables, right? Like that's your homework, you guys, is like, ask yourself, where was I inconvenienced? Was it the toilet paper for you?
Yeah.
What's the solution? Was it food? What's the solution? Was it that you were stir crazy in your house? What's the solution? Like, are you going to start practicing yoga? Is now the time? Because you can do that in your house on a mat. Like, what are the answers? I think it's really important for everyone to think through that, because that is the universe revealing to you what is your next, because each of us was different. There are some collective things, but I think for each individual, your inconvenienced energy is what needs to change. That's what needs to go away.
100%. I agree with you so much. I heard a lot of people freaking out about not being able to get their hair done. And like literally 5 years ago, Spirit said, no more getting your hair colored. You're cutting your own hair. Like, so let's step into our divine authority, like there's so many opportunities for us to grow. So I love that, your first reflection is like, where was I most irritated, pissed off, inconvenienced by what's happened? That's my growth point, that we can really be the divine beings that we came to be in these bodies and like manifested into form. No longer like, we're not just talking about being divine beings, we're actually living it.
Yes, I have something for you. So our June summit, we have this incredible woman. Her name's Christine. She wrote this book called Natural Hair Coloring, How to Use Henna.
That's what I use, henna.
Yes. So she wrote this book. It's in 5 languages. She sent it to me. Amazing. She's going to be on the show. But she's at the summit. She sent me color.
Yes. I love henna.
So like, there's your answer. So she's actually going to teach us how to do that on the summit.
So good. Yeah, literally Spirit was like, you're using henna. I'd never heard of it. They guided me to how to do it. So I love that you're going to have somebody that can teach folks how to do this. Like, again, and it's natural, right? So no more chemicals. And do we need to be chopping our hair all the time? All kinds of possibilities exist for us now. And that's where we get to focus, I think I need this thing. I think I need to have this a certain way. Well, maybe you don't. I just wrote on my Instagram yesterday, this is the time to question everything. All the stories you have about what you think you need and who people need to be for you and what's really true about our world. Let yourself question it and go, wait, is that really true? How could I do that in a more sustainable way? How could I, if I don't want to do it myself, how could I give that business to someone locally or someone in a small business that has that gift? Let's be the creative geniuses that we are. Now is the time for that.
Yes, I agree. I agree. And just keep looking at what's being revealed. Spirit said that in one of my messages for the month of May was, notice what is being shown to you. And you don't even have to do anything about it. Just notice it, write it in your journal, like fill up your journal with everything you're noticing and then take action on what you can. Because it is overwhelming. I had to completely go from a American lifestyle, fast food and whatever. I mean, I ate whatever. I was in culinary. I mean, a culinary person, like I ate all sorts of stuff. I had to go immediately to no sugar, no dairy, no wheat in an immediate fashion. It was very extreme and it was really intense. And it was years of dealing with family and friends feeling uncomfortable with my choices. So whatever you're choosing, I would say two things about that. It comes up actually. What I was going to say, Spirit's like, you should say this. But what I was going to say is start slow and don't feel like you have to change big. But Spirit's saying change big, change your community. If they're not connected, that's what I'm hearing Spirit say right now is like, who cares about slow? Like do it fast, but find the community. That's part of why we're doing this. That's what Buddhist Biohacker is all about. And same with One Heart, One Earth is let's find each other so we can live and operate in that new reality without shame, without blame, without guilt, without fear, without anger. Like we just go and we're there. And that actually takes us full circle back to the two realities, because that is the reality that's going to exist and does exist right now for all of us. And you can you can come join anytime. Come to the party anytime with us. We're all here waiting for you.
That's right. I mean, it's like beautiful to think about entering into the golden age, but I've been living in my own golden age since 2016, and you can live in it now. So you don't need everybody to get there. You just need you to be there and to call forth other beings. And there's all these amazing communities that are being born from this time in consciousness because we need each other. And so you can start living your own golden age right here, right now, by making a lot of the changes, if not all of the changes we've talked about here today. And it isn't, oh, take it slow, da 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 anymore. It's like, it's on, yo. It is on. If there was ever going to be a time for you to radically change your life, it is freaking now. Because the split is happening. Where are you on that? Are you in love? Are you in fear? You're choosing that. So we don't have time to like, maybe we'll get there at some point. It's like, it's now. And we have each other, so it doesn't have to be overwhelming. I heard a teacher say recently that overwhelm is like one of the greatest addictions in our culture, because you just, oh, I'm too overwhelmed, I'm too busy, I can't, because that story keeps you from doing all the things in your soul you're here to do and that you need to do. So get curious about that. Is my overwhelm legit, or is that a way that I just sort of, I excuse myself out of having to live the way I'm really here to live? You can do it all. When you call on the support of the higher realms, they will bring you the news. If you need any of it, they'll bring you the people, they'll bring you the healers, they'll bring you the nut butter, they'll bring you everything that you need when you make your priority, your alignment with who you really are, come together in community with other like-minded beings, get yourself good mentors, at least 2 wise women on your team. Like really, this is the time to anchor in, because we got a decade of some awesome times together. And then who even knows from there? So let's get to it now.
Yeah. And I think like the astrology between now and 2026 is a similar lineup to World War II. We have planetary changes beyond that. I mean, when you think, I just keep thinking of the 1920s. Like when you think of the 1920s and all the changes and the flappers, and I mean, all those things that went on during that time, this is our version of the roaring 20s. And a lot is going to change, but I'm totally a fashion nerd, like beyond. You would never know it with what I wear on my podcast, but I love it.
I love it.
And here's the deal. Coco Chanel would never have made a jersey suit if it wasn't for World War II, because of what wasn't available, the fabrics that weren't available, the challenges of the time. Women, like she's one of the first women that cut her hair and made these jersey suits and wore pants. And that was a big deal. And I think of that in this time because I love her, first off. But second off, when you think of that iconic Coco Chanel energy, like that, we're creating our own version of that right now, because our resources are changing, our needs are changing. our values are changing. And as we align with that, there will be another massive change. Like none of us are wearing Victorian era dresses, and none of us are going to be wearing what we have on today. And it's a, you know, kind of a silly fashion analogy, but it's actually like a huge part of where we're headed. So it's, don't be afraid of it. Instead go, oh my gosh, like if I was willing to cut my hair in 1940, like what am I willing to do today?
Yeah, we're repeating so many different timelines right now, from World War II, and also we're coming upon when the United States was birthed. We've got the same astrology as 1776 coming up. You know, when I went into meditation at the start of 2020, the word was revolutionary that they gave me, and I said, no, I don't want revolution. I want, you know, peace and harmony. And, you know, they're like, you'll get that too, but it's a revolutionary decade that we're stepping into. And so again, I understand now why my team had been saying, you know, the only way to get out of this thing alive is spirit-led living, love-fueled living, fifth dimensional living. It's the loophole. It's the only way that we navigate this and have tremendous peace and prosperity and joy and love and community and create a whole new reality because of it.
I love it. I love it. An hour goes by so fast, doesn't it?
I know, this was so great.
It really was. So I want you to share, because you've got some great tools available that folks can connect in with, and I want them to know how to connect in with you. So share what you have offered to everybody, like what's available so that they can get the information they need from you. And I love to give action steps, any action steps that you have for everybody who's listening, so that we know what to do. Where do you go from here?
Yes. So I'm in the process of changing over my website, so things are a little bit interesting. But if you go to kristianstrang.com, there's free meditations galore that I have available for you. So I have financial freedom. I have a new reality creation meditation that I'd love to get out to you. So you can get that on, I'm trying to think what's the best way, but if you just message me through kristianstrang.com, I can get it to you. Lisa, if I give you the link, could you post
Yeah, let's put it in the show notes. So
cool.
send me the link and I'll get it up for you guys in the show notes too.
Yeah, it's a golden age visualization meditation. It is amazing. It will totally put you into that frequency. You can also follow me on Instagram while I'm still there at Rising Up for Love, and lots of big changes coming, but I would love to connect with any of you that feel the resonance, and let's talk about how to support you moving forward. But I would say to start, action steps. Listen to that new reality, the golden age meditation, the link that Lisa will post. Listen to that every day for like 22 days and see how that doesn't shift your frequency into a higher realm. And then commit to only taking in media that your higher wisdom brings to you, media like this, you know, so ask your higher self, your team, to bring to you only the media that really will serve your highest frequency. So if you do that golden age meditation every day for 22 days, and you don't take in any media unless it's divinely brought to you, you will find yourself vibrating in a totally different frequency 22 days from now. And I'd love to hear from you after you do that.
Sweet. Awesome. And my only action step is do your homework. Notice what's being revealed to you, and ask yourself where you've been inconvenienced and how do you move past that now in a new reality and in a new way. Because I think that's so, so important. I'm so happy to have you on here.
Oh, I love being here. Thank you.
I could talk to you for hours, and it's such an honor. And I'm sure this is the first of many times, you guys, so don't worry. She'll be back. And I just love you so much. And to everybody listening, thank you for tuning in, whether you're listening now or you are on a replay or you're listening on iTunes or Spotify. Again, it's Buddhist Biohacker. If you guys need information on me, it's just Lisa M for Marie, lisamgunshore.com is my website. And all of the Buddhist Biohacker information is on there, including the MeWe link to our new forum. Get on there. It's happy and beautiful. Yes. Thank you to Kristian for showing me the way.
I love MeWe. Highly recommend MeWe.
Me too. It's like you get in there and it's like, oh, it's so clean in here. But it's also Yeah, and it's safe. It's safe for us
Yeah.
to have those conversations. So I want to continue these conversations over there on that forum for both the summits and the podcast. So you guys are welcome to tune in. We have at 3:00 today, I am going to be talking with Cheryl Garcia, who's an herbologist, and she and I are going to be talking about how to boost your immune system and heal your lymphatic system through her herbal lineage and also mine, which is Ayurveda. So we're going to come up at 3:00. And then just for everybody listening, we have a big week this week. Friday, we have a global healing circle at 11:11, and we have a big announcement for the summit and kicking off something on Friday. So that's important. And then Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern time, 2 p.m. Mountain time, we have Julie Hoyle and Taria Ward talking about it and how to be that. And it's really, really important conversation. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you, Kristian, for coming.
Thank you for having me. We love you, and I look forward to connecting with those called. Much love.
Yes. Mwah, mwah. Goodbye, everybody. Have a great day.